Hey guys, today we're going to practice dividing by two-digit divisors. So we see our division problem, 504 divided by 14. Now when we say dividing by two-digit numbers, the number that we've been dividing, of course, that's called our dividend, the number we're dividing. That's been more than one digit for a long time. But what we're going to focus on today is what's called our divisor. It's the number of groups that we want to get. And up till this point, it's been one-digit numbers out here. And now we're going to divide by two-digit numbers, like 14. It's got a tens place, and it's got a ones place. So the process will be very close to the same thing. We're going to get our quotient, which sits on top of our stage here. Of course, the quotient is the answer to a division problem. And we'll solve that quotient by doing the same steps as we did when we were using one-digit division. So the first thing I ask myself is, if I'm going to take these 500s and break them up into 14 parts, well, is that going to be possible? Is 14 going to fit into 5? And you're probably thinking, no, 14 is not going to fit into 500s. 14 is too big. So now I'm going to take a look at my first two numbers. I can think of this as 50 tens. Would 14 fit into 50? It is going to fit into 50 because 50 is a larger amount. We can definitely fit 14 in there a few times. Now, up until this point, we've got our facts memorized, but I don't have my 14s memorized, and you do either. So what am I going to do? I'm going to use all this free space all around the edges of my paper, and I'm going to do some experimenting. I know what 14 times 1 is. That's easy. It's just 14. 14 times 2, you may be able to do in your head. That's going to be 28. Well, that's still a lot smaller than 50, so I'm going to try again. I'm going to try 14 3 times, and 3 times 4 is 12. I'll carry my 1, and 3 times 1 is 3, plus 1 I'd carry is 42. That's really, really close. I can tell that one more set of 14 is going to be too much. 4 times 4 is 16, and look what happens. I wind up with 56, and that's too much. Now, don't erase all this. I'm not going to clear that off on my screen because it's actually going to be helpful for us in a little bit. But we've determined that 14 will not fit into 5, so I'm actually going to put a 0 there. Just like in multiplication, it was helpful to have a placeholder. It's helpful to have a placeholder here because I'm not putting a digit in the hundreds place. 14 will not fit into 500. I'm going to put it over here in my tens place. So we just figured out that 14 times 3 is the closest amount to 50 without going over. I've already written down that 14 times 3 gives me 42. So I'm going to subtract away those 42 tens, and 50 minus 42 is 8. Now, the reason I'm subtracting them is because those have already been divided. I have 8 tens left to divide, and now I'm going to bring down my 4 ones. Now, you might be saying, how in the world do I have 84 ones? That's impossible. Well, it's actually not, because I had 8 leftover tens, and I have the 4 ones from the problem, and that's how I get 84. Now, I've already done all this math over here. I have a clue that 14 is going to fit into 84 more than 4 times. That's why I didn't erase all that. It's going to be helpful to me. I'll try it 5 times. 14 times 5, well, 5 times 4 is 20. I carry my 2 tens, and I get 70. That's really close, really close. You might be able to tell it's going to fit in there 6 times. 6 times 4 is 24. I'll carry my 2 tens, and 6 times 1 is 6, and 2 more makes 84. Hey, there's exactly the number I was looking for. So since 14 will fit into this 84 exactly 6 times, I'll place my 6 up at the top. And I always have to end with subtraction. If I've used 14 sets of 6 or 6 sets of 14, that's 84. I need to subtract them away. That's showing that I've actually taken the time to divide them. You can see I have nothing left. There are no other place value digits to bring down, and that means my quotient is going to be 36. Let's try another one. My next number is a lot larger than I'm dividing. Again, this is my dividend, 3,960. This time I break it into 36 parts. Now you might think, gosh, that's going to be a lot harder, but it's actually the exact same steps. Will 36 fit into these 3,000s? Well, I can't break 3,000s into 36 parts. 36 is too big. So again, I'm going to use my placeholder 0. Don't skip that steps, because if we start putting numbers in the wrong place values, it's going to become confusing to us later. This next one I can do mentally. 36 I know will fit into 39. it's going to fit into those 3900s just once, right? 36 times 1, well, that's just going to give me 36. If I was going to do 36 2 times, that's going to give me a number that's too big. That's going to give me 72. That's too big. But again, I'm not going to erase that because it can be helpful to me later. 36 can fit into 3900s just one time, and that's, again, a set of 36, or you can think of it as 3600s. When we subtract those away to show that I've actually used them, I'll end up with 300s left that I haven't divided yet. And then what's my next step? Well, my next step is going to be to bring down this 6. Okay, I have these 6 tens plus these 300 that you can think of that as 36 tens. Will 36 fit into 36? It sure will. That's an easy one. It'll fit in there once. And one set of 36, or 1 times 36, is 36. So here's where a lot of kids will stop. They'll say, ta-da, I did it. I subtracted. Even if I remember to bring down, hey, I still have 0 there, I'm done. Is that right? Am I done? No, because what step do we always have to end on? We always have to end on subtraction. So even though I have no 10s and no 1s left, this whole place value right here is blank. And I always have to end on subtraction. So I have to say, will 36 fit into 0? No, 36 is too large for that. So 36, even though it won't fit into there, 0 is a number. If I leave my quotient as 11, that's going to be a lot different than putting a 0 in here and saying 11 versus 110. That's quite different. So 36 0 times is 0. And now, once again, what step am I ending on? I'm ending on subtraction. Now, how can I check if I'm right? What step can I do? Don't just say, well, I'm going to cross my fingers. That'll be good enough. No, I'm going to do 110 times 36, and I'm going to see, what do I get? I'll do my Africa method. 6 times 0 is 0, and 6 times 1, and then 6 times 1 again. Here's another placeholder. We use a placeholder here in division, and we're using a placeholder here in multiplication. And when I multiply, what do I wind up getting? Well, I'll do my addition, and I, in fact, do wind up with 3,960, and that's 3,960. So by checking with multiplication, I can be sure I'm right. Now, here's the very last problem that we're going to do. There were 1,426 basketball fans seated in the bleachers. All the bleachers are full. Each row of bleachers holds 62 fans. So we have 1,426 people, and we are breaking them into chunks of 62. So what would my division problem be? 1,426. Okay. I want to figure out how many rows there are when I group the people in groups of 62. Well, the division problem will be 1,426 people broken into groups of 62 people, or 62 fans. So we'll do the same process one last time. Will 62 fit into this 1,000? Well, I can't break 1,000 into 62 equal parts. I put a 0 there. Okay. Will 62 fit into 14? Those are 1,400s. Well, actually, no. I can't take 14 things and break them into 62 parts. So I'm going to put another 0 there. What? 2 zeros? Yes, you're allowed to do that. What about 142 tens? Well, yes, I could take 142 of something and break it into 62 parts. Again, I don't have my 62s memorized, so I know what 62 times 1 is. I can write down what 62 times 2 is. Okay, it's 124. That's close. I think 62 times 3 is going to be too big, but I'm going to write it down anyway because that might be useful for us. It's 186. So which one should I choose? Should I choose 2? Should I choose 3? I'm not going to choose 3 because 186 would be too big. I can only fit 2 groups in there. 124 is what we get. So I'm going to subtract those away to show that I have used them. I can't do 2 minus 4, so I'm going to borrow. And 12 minus 4 is 8, and 3 minus 2 is 1, and 1 minus 1 is nothing. What's my next step? My next step is going to be to bring down. I'm going to bring down this 6. Now I have 186. Hey, look at the work I just did. I just got 62 times 3 is 186. So I have my answer. See why writing them down actually saves us time? It doesn't take more time. It actually saves time. And that's why I didn't erase it. Should you erase your work? No, not until we're done with that problem if you're using a dry erase board. Since I did that work, I can know that 62 will fit into 186 perfectly 3 times. And again, I'm going to subtract away that 186 to show that I used it. And I get 23. Well, 23 what? 23 basketballs, 23 bleachers, 23 fans. What is that? How can I know? I'm going to reread the problem. It says, how many rows are there? So this is 23 rows. So that's dividing by 2 digits. Good luck. You're going to do great.